they hopefully to get their first job and also build their career in the space of robotic process automation itself. So with that, I would like to seek your confirmation if you are able to see my screen. I'm gonna share my screen now. Right. So can you confirm if you all can see my screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's now since you can stop me anytime during my presentation. I'll try to keep it very simple. No using of any terminologies which will be difficult for you to understand. It's going to be very simple, straight talk where we try and explain the technology to you so that you understand what robotic process automation is all about, and you know so that you study more, you get enlightened, and then you study more on the technology. We have, as part of a collaboration, we've already trained your faculty, so you are now lucky enough to be in an institution where we've already collaborated, and the faculty are trained, who are qualified to teach you this subject, which is being offered as an elective by BTU. Right. So before we begin, so I just want to share some thoughts before we enter robotic process automation. So the first thing that comes to our mind whenever we hear, you all can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, the first thing that comes to our mind the moment we hear of automation or in general is that the word of automation, is that people often believe, or the perception across is that automation will take away jobs, automation will remove people from doing jobs, and robots are going to replace the kind of jobs that people used to do earlier. So this is the kind of myth that we carry when we think of this word automation, right? If we go back to few decades and think about how the evolution has happened in terms of the technology, let's forget about robotic process automation. Just let's just go back to go back few decades back and think about all the industrial revolutions, and then the whole revolution of industrialization, and when machines started replacing humans in the manufacturing sector. Humans all believe that whoever is working in the whole domain of the manufacturing sector are going to be replaced, and then people would believe, we just started assuming that people will not have any jobs. But at the end, if we look at the ground reality today, we have no more number of people who are developing those robots, who are managing those robots, or configuring those robots. We are now, it's just that we have started adopting, and we have started to live with those robots. Just for example of manufacturing sector, where the cars used to be completely manually manufactured earlier, and right now it's all robotized. Today, in Bangalore, the Toyota Innova comes out, the Krista comes out in 90 seconds from base. It's from nothing to fully ready vehicle to be delivered. It comes out in like less than 2 minutes, right? And that's the power of automation that we have seen, where it is not just robots which is doing that. We have human beings working together with robots to make sure that we have the efficient mode of doing things. It is not just one task in every task that we are looking at. Similarly, in the domain of banking, what happened is that people again, when computers were first started to be introduced in the banking domain, the assumption was that, all right, so computers are coming into the banking domain, so people are going to lose jobs again. In turn, what we are seeing today is that it's completely opposite of what we heard, right? The perception was that computers are going to replace everybody who is sitting in the bank and working. But today, what we are seeing is that we are seeing more number of people working in banks, managing all the digital assets. Of course, computerized and digitalization has helped them, but it has not taken away anybody's jobs. It's only that people had to learn computers, they had to learn the softwares which were used by respective banks. The staff working in the banks were, had to change a lot of processes in order to, adopt the digital way of doing things. where we had software which used to manage all the data instead of a ledger. All the book based and the paper based work is now digitized. We have all the data in the bank servers. So we have lakhs and lakhs of people who are working in the banking domain indirectly now. It's not just with the people who are working in the bank itself, currently working, being a manager or any different level within the bank. We now have people who are in IT who are working towards building the banking software. There are people, they're developers, they're consultants, they're infrastructure engineers. We have trainers, we have people who manage those infrastructure at every of the bank branches, and so on, right? And we have people who are testing those softwares. We have people who are designing the whole whole project for them. So we have people at different levels who are working towards the banking domain in IT, which means that, again, in any domain, these two examples I just wanted to quote here to make you realize that any new technology coming in, the assumption of humans is that, of us, is that in the beginning that's going to take away a lot of jobs. What are we going to do if a robot is doing everything? These are the assumptions that we carry before we understand, or we really start adopting the technology in the domain that we are working with. In turn, if you look at both the examples that I've given, it has created more number of jobs which were non-existent. If you look at the banking domain, all the developers, testers, or consultants, infrastructure engineers, you had project managers, everybody. These are the kind of job roles which were existed, but because of the huge demand in the banking domain, we have now lakhs of people working in the in the behind in the IT companies towards building the software, towards building and managing the whole infrastructure of this whole banking system, right? So these are just couple of examples to enlighten us that robots coming in is not taking away jobs. It is the way to work in future. The mechanical or the manufacturing domain has already successfully adopted it. It's for us in the IT domain now to adopt these robots or the software robots, so that we work on something which is pretty much creative and requires our intelligence, and not do something which is very much repetitive and boring in nature. Nobody in the world would like to work on something which is repetitive and mundane and very boring in nature, right? We always want to do something new, something very creative in nature. So that's what we are aiming for, and that's what the whole technology of robotic process automation will help us for. Today, during the course of my presentation, we are going to see what is robotic process automation, and then small gist about who are we, just introduce about UiPath, what is UiPath Academic Alliance, and then how UiPath certified professional can help you in building your job, and then getting your um, you know first job, and hopefully building the career in the space of robotic process automation itself. As I mentioned in the both the examples before, the key message there was that any technology, any new technology coming in is not going to take away anybody's jobs. It is just that people who are already working in the industry at any point of time have to be open, then learn new technologies coming in and keep learning. Learning is something which is very much constant, irrespective of the domain in which you're going to work for. So this is a report by World Economic Forum which suggests that by 2022, which is just less than a year now, we have no less than 54 percentage of employees who are already working in the industry would require significant reskilling and upskilling. This is again a huge number to talk about. It is not just for you as a student to learn the niche technology, to learn the relevant technology at the right time. It is also for the people who are already working in the industry to learn the right skills at the right time and keep learning, right? So if we have to look at and look at the same perspective in terms of robotic process automation as an industry. Of course, we have not seen what is robotic process automation. I'm going to give throw some spotlight around what RPA is all about, and how the industry has shaped up, and just to burst the myths before I actually go into and start speaking more about the technology. While automation is actually picking up across the IT verticals now today, something which used to take a lot of days before, like a loan processing in a bank or doing a
ಮನಿ ಕಡೆ
transaction
ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ.
or processing a
ಈ
check,
ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಗೋ ಹಾಕಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
anything in a bank used to take few days earlier. Right now you're doing all the transactions at the tip of your button from your phone using an app, and it takes less than few seconds now. And that's the power of the technology, right? Here we have software robots helping the whole banking system in the backend, where these robots are helping in clearing the applications, in processing the applications, loan applications, in a much faster way, or in clearing all the requirements. Any kind of repetitive task that is used to be done by a human being, which used to take a lot of mundane human effort. And also, after some point of time, you all know humans cannot be efficient. You cannot work for 24 hours a day, not 12 hours a day. You will miss your focus, and then at some point of time, even if you make a one small glitch, the whole calculations goes wrong.
ಈಗಂತೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್
So
ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
that's where
ಪೇಷಂಟ್
the
ಇರ್ಬೇಕು
robots
ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್.
are helping us, right? The robots are more efficient, and then using these robots are helping us in, if in optimizing our processes, and then helping us realize gains with a much shorter, with smaller amount of time. So these are few other reports by World Economic Forum and Forbes, and also by different reports also, which suggest the kind of opportunity that we have in terms of automation and robotic process automation in specific. Just to eliminate all the myths that we had, AI does not eliminate jobs; it creates them in at a larger extent. Automation expected to create jobs. Automation is going to while maybe 8 lakhs jobs are going to be replaced, but then 3.5 million net new jobs are going to be
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ
created.
ತೊಗೊಂಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
These 8 lakhs jobs which are going to be replaced,
ಐದು
it's not that their 8 lakh people will be sent home. It's just that those people have to learn something new so that they stay relevant to the technology, right? And then we have one more report which says that robotic process automation will generate nearly 2 lakh jobs by
ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಹಿಂಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಈ
2021 in
ಕಾಲೇಜ್ನಾಗ
India itself.
5 ದಿವಸ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 5 ದಿವಸ.
That's a huge, huge
ಹೌದು
number to
ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
look at for an India perspective, which we are already in 2021.
ಕಂಪನಿ
The
ಐತಿ.
kind of
ಅಲ್ಲೇ
opportunity that
ಐತಿ.
we are seeing, it's not just
ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ
being a developer. The whole economy of
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಲ್ಲ.
robotic process automation
ಅಲ್ಲೇ
I'm speaking about.
ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮೆಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಐತಿ.
If you look at the world, the whole of
ಆಕೆ
automation is
ಬರ್ತಾರೆ
going to
ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ.
create 58 million net new jobs in the next
ಮೆಕ್ಡಾಲ್
5 years
ಟೇಬಲ್
in
ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ.
across the world. That's the kind of opportunity that we're looking at, because automation is a key mantra for everyone. If somebody says no to automation, it will,
5
they'll be
ದಿವಸ
in a similar position where,
5ನೇ ದಿವಸ
and how
ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ
Nokia was
ಆರತಿ
few a decade back.
ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು.
No, Nokia said no to Android. They went out of the market,
ಹುಡುಗರು
being
ನೀವು
the number one phone company in the world,
ಕಾಲೇಜ್
to
ಇವು ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುರೇಶಿಟಿ ಸರ್
completely losing its existence from the market because they said no to adopting the new
ನಾವು
technology,
ಬರ್ತೀವಿ.
and they did not catch up with the boom of Android.
ಬರ್ತೀವಿ.
Today we have the
ಹಂಡ್ರೆಡ್
Nokia
ಫಿಕ್ಸ್.
branding, but as you all know, it's not the Nokia which used to be there. Now HMD Global is a company which is actually trying to manufacture phones in the name of Nokia. They're just using the brand name of Nokia, which already was there. But then they lost the opportunity. They have come back after a few years, but then the kind of market share that they own, they were number one in the market. The billions of phones that were sold in by Nokia, but ultimately they perished because they said no to change. They said no to learn. They said no to adopt to the new technology. Right. Similarly, we are now looking at the buzz, the whole new technology of robotic process automation, creating the whole new opportunity for us as a student to build and learn the technology and build our careers upon. Today we are the technology has opened up multiple career paths for us to look at, the jobs for us to look at, and also build a career path from there on. From being an RPA developer, from being an RPA citizen developer, from being an RPA business analyst, being an RPA solution architect, being an RPA infrastructure engineer, RPA project managers, RPA consultants, etc. These are the jobs which are non-existent before the whole technology of robotic process automation really started growing so fast, and and the whole industry started adopting it across the verticals in the industry across the globe. So what we have seen in the last 5 years is that
ಈಸಿಯೆಸ್ಟ್
2015 is when the
ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟೆಡ್
term of
ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್.
robotic process automation was coined. Before that, the whole technology did not exist. Of course, people automated. People used to write macros. People used to hard code using Python and then build their scripts to automate tasks. Of course, it was there. Automation existed from where beyond, right? But then the proper with the emergence of robotic process automation as a technology, this gave a booster to the way people automated and people used software robots in the industry, because you were able to build people were able to build robots at less amount of time, because RPA is one such technology which helps people by helping them automate their processes and build software robots which actually take care of all their repetitive and mundane tasks, wherein you have very low code or almost no code depending on the processes to build your automations. And this is something which excites people and the students to actually learn the technology and then build software robots as well. While this is one part, the second thing is that how industry is going to get benefited from this, because hard coding takes a lot of time. It's all GUI based. I'm going to show UiPath Studio and how to build a robot and so on in my presentation in detail. But what happens is that we now have the opportunity where we will be able to build bots and also scale in terms of building robots in adopting the technology across the verticals in our organization with minimal effort, because it takes very minimal effort in actually building the bots and taking it forward from there, right? So while that is the kind of market and the opportunity that we're looking at, you can build your career as an RPA developer, junior RPA developer who has learned RPA in the college, and then start looking for a job, and then once you have a right RPA skills, at least at a foundation level, you'll be able to join as a junior RPA developer. And once you build your start your career as a junior RPA developer, you can again explore multiple job and career paths once you start working in the industry and get a little experience in the technology and also working experience, right? These are the kind of job roles that are now existing, which did not exist before a few years, which requires specific skill set of being skilled in robotic process automation. uh, to add to the testimony of what we have seen, in my previous reports and the kind of opportunity that I'm speaking about. So this is a report by LinkedIn Emerging Jobs Report for India in 2020. The 2021 report is not yet out, but this got released, in the end of 2020 by LinkedIn. So this said that out of top 15 job roles, we have two job roles in the space of robotic process automation itself. One is being a robotics engineer software, which means an RPA developer who is actually helping people automate the jobs or build robots, and then helping them automate the whole processes. And the second one is RPA consultant. RPA consultant is the one who's actually who helps organizations to understand the value of RPA. He is someone who is actually tell them that this is how you can adopt the technology, and these are the processes where we can actually potentially start using automation, which will actually save X number of hours, and then we will be able to use those resources in a better way, or those people can actually work on something which is very much creative and requires their intelligence, and not something which is very much mundane and repetitive in nature, right? And RPA robotics engineer, or the software robotics engineer as it says, or we call it as an RPA developer in the industry. He is someone who understands the requirement from the customer or the from the business analyst side, and then builds those robots which automates the whole processes for them. So this is again a testimony of kind of the opportunity that we have in front of us in India itself, for students who are actually going to learn the technology of robotic process automation when they are in the college itself. Or else, as you all know, you might have seen your seniors or friends, your relatives struggling to find, learn the technology once completing, coming out of college. People would have, try and spend time in learning the technology, and putting their time, money, and effort in learning the technology after the college, after your engineering, wherein if you had learned the technology within your engineering, you would have already got placed and you would be earning in the same time when you're planning to um, um, There's some disturbance. Can we mute all of this? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Right. So now let's look at what is robotic process automation. As I've been saying, right, RPA is the technology which allows us to configure computer robots or build robots which emulate the action of humans interacting with a digital system, or our interaction with the computers, and then helps us, in gives us that freedom to do something which is creative, and not something which is mundane in nature. So what RPA does is that these robots use our computers. We can build we can build these robots which actually does the same thing what we do on a machine on a day-to-day basis. From starting the computer, all these tasks of copying the data, or opening some websites, scraping the information from different websites, or you want to open your email, check all the emails and prioritize which emails are more important for you, or downloading all the attachments, and reading through the information that's needed for the for you, for to do some action. Or we have something called as optical character recognition, where the robots are now intelligent. They can download the PDFs and then read through the PDFs to understand the information that has been present in the PDFs now. So these are the activities typically that we would do as a human being in front of a computers, copying files, or scraping information, or working on some application, opening some application, copying some data, or making calculations, and so on. So these are the typical activities which we do on a computer, which a robot can actually emulate, and which can actually do. If I have to scrape data from a different website, it will take forever for me. Where using the technology of robotic process automation, if you want to scrape some website, some information from one of the websites, the bot can actually do it in less than a minute. You just have to point out which website and then what information you want to do, and the bot actually picks up all the information and then gives you in whatever format that you're looking for. Maybe you are expecting the data in an Excel sheet, or however you would like to configure it, right? So all in all, the robotic process automation is the technology where we use a bot, a computer software which emulates and mimics the human action, basically, so that we automate, and then the bots execute all the processes which are which are automated, and we can focus on something which is very much creative in nature, as I have been repeating again and again. So how do we automate? What are the tools that I need to use, and how can I automate, right? We have UiPath Studio, where it's UiPath Studio is it's an IDE where you can actually build these automations and build these processes, and design and build these processes. It's a GUI based platform where it's all graphical user interface. It's just drag and drop. It's a low code solution where you have less of coding, and you will be able to build automations. And then we have UiPath robots. Once you build your automation on UiPath Studio, you use UiPath robots to run those automation. You publish those robots, and UiPath robots run it according to how you're going to configure it. Like, say for example, you want a robot to be run, I'm sorry, run once in a day. Say for example, I'm going to give a simple example for all your students out here. Every day you all might be using Facebook gives a notification that, look, hi Darshan, today Darshan and five of your friends have their birthday, something like that. So this is repetitive. I'm just trying to give a simple example which is very much I'm just trying to give a simple example which is repetitive and mundane in nature, which we would be doing, so that you all understand, you are able to attend, relate to, right? So this is a classic example where every day we check Facebook, we see for whose birthday it is, and we wish them. So we can actually build a bot which can actually log into our Facebook every day at 12 o'clock midnight. It can check whose birthdays are there today, and then it can log in and just wish them on our behalf at 12 o'clock. Something which we do on a day-to-day basis. We can actually build a bot, and the bot can actually log into Facebook. We can configure it, the bot to run at 12 a.m. every day. At 12 a.m. it logs into Facebook. You don't have to worry, you can just sleep off. It can go to your, all your friends who's having their birthday, and then write a happy birthday message for them. You can always configure it, or you can always ask Google, the bot, to Google the best message available and then post it out from here, from there, right? So again, I just gave this example to give one simplest thing which we are doing right now on a day-to-day basis in our lives.
Yes,
Just imagine at an enterprise level, there are n number of such processes. We have, claims processing, we have onboarding robots which are helping people in onboarding in HR systems. We have, we have bots in finance where people are settling claims. We are also in supply chain management, and also in IT, where bots are regularly monitoring the servers and giving alerts to people on any kind of server issues, or and so on. There are n number of such use cases that we are having. So coming back to how do we automate, the first thing is UiPath Studio is where you can actually build your automation. UiPath Robot is where you actually can run your automation that you're going to design and build using UiPath Studio. And then we have UiPath Orchestrator, using which you actually manage all your automation. Say for example, an organization has hundreds of bots in production for different purposes. we are we can actually use UiPath Orchestrator to actually go back and monitor all those robots. UiPath Orchestrator shows the status of all the robots, if the robots are running properly, if there is any malfunction in any robot, if there is any issue that a robot has reported, or any robot has seeking for some kind of information from you to continue its execution, and so on. So we'll be able to manage all this using UiPath Orchestrator. So three things to remember: one is UiPath Studio is to build robotic process automation, your automations, and then we have UiPath Robots, where to run the automations that you're going to build from UiPath Studio, and then we have UiPath Orchestrator to manage all the robots that you are going to put in production. So this is how a typical studio looks like. It's more like a drag and drop activity. If you have to click, you have to read mails. So you have activities, you just have to select the activity, drag and drop, and then continue. It's that simple, and you don't have to code anything. And if you are a coding enthusiast, and if you love coding, of course the platform allows you to code. And on top of it, if you are someone who loves to come up with a machine learning model, or you have something, you will be able to execute the same within the platform as part of your automation by using AI Fabric. UiPath has something called as AI Fabric, where you will be able to host your machine learning models and run the models as well as part of your automations. So this is how the studio looks. It's how you will be able to build your automations. Let's look at what these software robots can do, right? So we have, and as I said, it can log into an application, move files and folders, read and write data into databases, scrape data from website, extract content from PDFs, documents, and email forms, open email attachments, and read the content. And then it can also send an email on your behalf. It can make calculations. So pretty much everything that we do on a day-to-day basis from our systems, yeah, the robots can actually do that. So we have different kinds of robots. Just for your knowledge, you don't have to think deeper about it at this point of time. This is us right now working 100% without any support of robots. We are doing everything, every manual task, which is taking and killing our time. And then we have something called attended in tandem, where we have where we have a human, a computer, where a human being is actually working on a computer, and there is a bot which is running in the backend, right? So this is attended in tandem, where you have a bot which is actually running and in the backend in the same machine, and you're also working on the same machine, where it's one both are working in tandem. And then comes hybrid. Hybrid is where a bot is running all by itself, and at some point of time the bot seeks some information from you, and it comes back to you, and it actually asks for some input from you. This is something which we call it as human in loop, where if a bot requires some information from you, it comes back to you for to seek that information, and you give that information, and the bot continues its execution. And then at the end we have something called as fully unattended robots. These are something which have or typically run in virtual environment or Citrix environment, where it has no human interference at all, right? So these are types of robots, and then let's see a different a few set of example or the domains how where these robots are now being used and how we can actually adopt robotic process automation as a technology. As I said, in finance, to settle the claims, people generally use the travel claims or any other claims from within the universities or within the organizations wherever they were working for. They submit all the travel bills, hotel bills, food, etc., or if they have bought anything like books or anything which is related, and then they claim it. When they claim it, what happens is that somebody in the accounts verifies all the receipts that the person has submitted, and then using all that information, they go ahead and proceed and then approve the claim, and the person who is requested will get the claims in their accounts. So what happens in return is that it's all again completely manual, where a human being has to look at every receipt that is that people are submitting to them for the claims. Here, instead of that, we can have robots doing that, where you submit everything online, and the robots can actually scrape through all your receipts that you're uploading, and then cross verify all the details of the receipts that you're uploading with the bank, with the policies of the organization. And if everything matches, and if the claim that you have approved is genuine, and if all the receipts are proper in place within the dates and all the other details, the bot approves and you will get your amount in your account. So here, the whole process takes less than few minutes, and the person who is submitting for a claim also gets his claim settled in less amount of time. Similarly, we have different such use cases in supply chain management, in invoicing, or in raising invoices or raising orders, when tracking the inventory, and then ordering the stocks as and when the inventory comes down automatically, or in IT, in monitoring survey servers and apps, and for any routine maintenance activity. In HR, we have onboarding is the biggest task, where a company has to give access for an employee to multiple tools and technologies, that applications that the company would be using, like say for example a simple email applications, from a simple email application to an internal communication tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams or Google Chat, or whichever they are using. From there on to other communication tools like Zoom, or other development tools that they might be using, or collaboration tools, or tools like Workday, or Bamboo, for example, Bamboo HR. So a lot of such applications, where the HR applications, your leave management, your all something, all everything related to HR will be used, and Slack, or as I said, Microsoft Teams, etc., for internal communication. So that when every employee when joined the company has to create accounts in all these different applications and give that employee access to these applications. So what happens here is that typically employees actually work a lot of time. The IT folks have to work a lot of time in creating accounts in these different applications, and then giving those access details and links and details to the employees. Here we can actually use a robot. Instead of it, the robot can actually create accounts in all these multiple applications that an employee has to get access to, and then those applications can be used by the employee right away, immediately, right? So similarly, for customer services, anything, any request that we are making, you all might be already using Swiggy, Zomato. You all have seen the chatbots, how they are actually doing that the job at the front end. Using RPA, we are now looking at the bots which are running at the back end, which helps customer success, customer services in doing the modifications, in scheduling appointments or payments, in changing the data passwords, or managing any kind of this information, or also helping these customer service agents in finding the relevant answer to the questions that you ask them through chat or via call, right? So there are multiple such applications of using the technology in the contact center or the customer service office. So just going further, let's look at one small example, a video where you will see a bot in action.
Sending email notifications. Please note that the robot will do some activities
ಇಲ್ಲ
you
ಮನೆ
do, such as
ಈಗ
most of
ಇದಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು.
the invoice related actions, entering a folder or checking its email address. So let's see it working. It's monitoring a folder where three invoices are stored, collecting all the information needed so we can register them one by one. It then uses the tester to introduce the email address and the posting notification will be sent. Also performs basic checks to see if the SAP is open and sit on its own if not. Logging into SAP using its credentials, processing the invoices one
ಅದಿರ್ಲಿ
by one.
ಬಟ್ ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನ್ಯಾಗ
You can see
ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ.
it filling in data such as vendor
ಕಸಿನ್ಸ್
code,
ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೆಂಗ್
invoice
ಬರ್ತಾರೆ?
name, invoice number, invoice amount, invoice description, and GL account, and ends up by filling the payment journey. Following that, it registers the remaining two invoices in the assigned company code.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ
Continuing the SAP registration
ತೊಗೊಂಬರೋದು
is
ವಜಾ
then
ಮಾಡೋದು
automatically
ಮತ್ತು
by the robot
ಇದು
who
ವಿಸರ್ಜನೆ
processes
ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು.
payments.
ಖರೆ ಅದು ಏನು ಏ ಟೈಪ್ ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಅಂತ ಬಿಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು.
Checking in the robot verifies
ಈಗ
whether
ಸಪೋಸ್ ನೀವು
the
ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದು
invoice
ಏನಾದರೂ
invoice
ಆತಂದ್ರೂ
matches the one in
ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ
our
ವಿಸರ್ಜನೆ
database.
ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
If so, we'll post it
ಬಟ್ ಆ
automatically.
ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಬಿಡು.
And send a dedicated email to users, highlighting this difference and asking what to do. Post the invoice or to cancel it and send it back to them. All the invoices detailed in the email it sends, so let's reply with yes to the message for an invoice with a reference. Finally, it will check its email address and send SAP using the appropriate transaction code. Post the invoice.
ಆ್ಯಪ್ದ ತೋರ್ಸೋದು.
So, the robot has successfully posted three invoices in SAP.
Fantastic. So now you have actually seen how a robot has, this is more like an invoice automation, invoice processing a process where you have a robot which is actually scraping information from the PDF, and then using those information and then uploading all those information to the SAP systems, and then verifying the information, and also uploading and replying to emails as well with the data to the relevant people, right? So this is the whole process, right, which has been completely automated using the software. This was just an example of an enterprise process where a bot has automated the whole of invoice processing process, right? So now look at we can look at UiPath Academic Alliance, where we have actually collaborated with the institution already, and we are now supporting the institution in training the faculties and then providing all the resources required to learn the technology of robotic process automation. We have already seen the kind of opportunity that the technology of robotic process automation has opened up for you as an individual to build your career, and we have already seen the kind of how simple the technology is, where you can build a bot easily using UiPath Studio. You can, and we have something called as UiPath Robot to execute the robot, to execute the automation that you're going to build. We have UiPath Orchestrator to manage all the automations, to all the robots, to manage all the robots that you're building. So three things to remember: one is UiPath Robot, UiPath Studio, where you build the automation. UiPath Robot is which you're going to automate, run your automations. Orchestrator is which you're going to manage all your robots in production. So and then we have also seen the kind of job market. We have seen few sort of examples of and use cases of RPA in industry, in across different domains. What can these robots do? These robots can actually do everything that we actually do on a day-to-day basis in front of our machine, except intelligence part. Right now the robots are also getting intelligent because of AI, and also, as I told, we will be able to build your machine learning model and execute it as part of your processes as well. And right now we'll look at how you can study this subject and how you can learn the robotic technology of robotic process automation as a student, and then enhance your skills to find the right job and get your career kick started. So with the whole intention of the program is to work with universities and then provide all the benefits required to the institution. so that they learn the technology, and the faculty gets trained. They learn the technology, they get upskilled first, and they become the masters of the technology, so that they can go back and start teaching students. We also provide all the pedagogy tools and content repository, curriculum, and everything needed for the faculty to get learn and then start teaching students. We also provide the licensed version of software at free of cost for all the students studying the software, and also to the institution to make use of the software to install in their labs, and then teach the same to your students. So the whole with the whole intention of institutionalizing the learning of robotic process automation in the campus. And to other benefits, we have students, we give the software at free of cost. You get the curriculum, you get student guides and all the content required. You also get discounts on certifications if you're looking to take up the global certifications, which are recognized by the industry, by UiPath. These are Prometric certifications to be taken up in Prometric Center. We get 50% discount as part of the partner institution. And for educators, we have already trained educators. We give them educator kit and in-person trainings, and educator licenses for research and teaching and learning purposes. And for institutions, of course, we have collaborated and given access to all the content and the licenses to establish a lab, and then start offering to your students in the campus. So we are offering different courses. One is that step into RPA is to build an awareness about RPA as a technology. Here we are looking at our RPA design and development course. This RPA design and development course is about 40 hours in theory, which is approved by VTU in as part of the of your curriculum, and that's how which is already present as an elective for 7 sem students, which you can actually choose. And RPA design and development course is about 40 hours, and it's also and about 20 hours of labs. So it's more like hands-on labs. It has no theory. It's largely on understanding the tool, understanding automation, building different projects, building different automation, so that you understand the technology and work on, and also you also build a capstone project at the end. This is aligned to the UiPath associate RPA developer certification. After completing the course and evaluation, you can the college can actually issue the course completion diplomas, which we already have given the soft copy. But at the end, if anybody is wishing to take up the global certification, of course, yes, you will be able to take up, and the college can request for the voucher, because as we said, we are promising a 50% discount for students and educators of our partner institution. Again, this is optional. You need not think about it as a mandatory step. So this is the course which you are speaking about, RPA design and development, where you will learn what is RPA till building simple automations. Ideally, this is mapped to the UiPath RPA associate RPA developer certification, and then where you can ideally become aim at becoming a junior RPA developer in industries. So what will you get as a student if you're learning the technology and learning this subject, right? You will be able to build robots for yourself, which can help you in your job find. You can build your robots to build robots to search all the different websites like LinkedIn, or Naukri, Monster, Indeed, or so on, which can actually keep searching for all the job roles that you're working on, depending upon the keywords that you're mentioning, and then notify you. And you can go one step ahead and build a robot which can actually apply for a job on your behalf, and just keep submitting your your resume, not recipe, I'm sorry, your resume in all these different websites where there are jobs matching your skills. The robot can actually look for jobs matching your skills and then apply for a job on your behalf. And then you can build your project, you can build your final year projects in on robotic process automation, and so on. And then you can also help your institution itself in identifying different processes where it might be manual right now, and then where you can actually automate. One of the simplest process might be the seating arrangement for the examinations, where a bot can actually once you let the bot know that the configuration where you need to make two people sit in one bench, and for 15 bench in each classroom, and let know the number of total strength and total number of bench in each room. The bot can actually create a pattern, and also send out a notification for all the students with their classroom numbers and seating arrangements, and so on. So this, again, there are a lot of such processes which can be automated. And then at the end, as I said, you can take up the UiPath certification, under UiPath certified professional program. And these certifications are from proctored examinations to be taken up from Pearson View, Prometric Center, where you will have dedicated proctor proctoring you for the examination. That is why these certifications are recognized widely across the globe in the industry, and this creates this reduces the time to credibility, because if you are certified, it is a legal commitment, and it's also certified. It's also clear that you have right skills, and there is no doubt in the skills that you're going to possess, and then just start looking for the jobs that you're looking at, and then which gives you hopefully the first job, and also the required hike in your salary that you're looking at. So that's about the journey. If you're learning, as I said, if you learn the RPA developer foundation course or RPA design and development course, and you can actually take up this certification to build your career path upon. And if not, you can also go to UiPath Academy. UiPath is the first company in the world to democratize the learning of robotic process automation. We gave our LMS and the self-learning path platform called UiPath Academy for free for everybody to access. We are the first ones to give out the UiPath software
Hey, name
as
Ganpati
well for
Patel.
free of cost for learning and teaching purposes. So you can
Ganpati
go and
Patel.
enjoy the community edition of software
Direct
or
ಅಲ್ಲೇ
the academic
ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ.
license
ಅಲ್ಲೇ
version of
ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ
software which
ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್
we are
ಸರ್.
providing for you to learning and teaching purposes. And if you face any issue or any trouble in any of your projects or any doubts technically, you can just come back to UiPath forum and forum.uipath.com, and then post your query. Your query might already been answered, or if not, we have lakhs of people who are already in the forum who will respond to you within less than a few minutes, so that you need not wait. You will get your doubts resolved, and you can continue working. And we also have something called as UiPath community, where we have continuous meetups happening over Saturday, Sunday, every weekend, wherein you will be able to meet technology speakers from industry. You will be able to meet people who are already working in industry in the RPS space. Please do try to attend these meetups, where you will be able to build your network. You'll be able to connect to the people from the industry, speakers, or the developers who can actually help you in building that connections, who can also potentially hire you once you complete your engineering as well. So let's also look at the kind of companies that are hiring for UiPath, who are UiPath customers, partners. Basically, we have all the top notch companies that you might have heard of: Accenture, EY, Cognizant, IBM, Deloitte, PwC, Atos, we have Capgemini, CGI, NIIT, Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, Tech Mahindra, Huron. We also have PwC, as I've already mentioned, BBC, Wells Fargo, AXA. Name a company with the Bosch, GE, Cisco, HP, VMware, Uber. Name a company, and they are our customers already. So automation is everywhere, and people are just using we have UiPath being used. We have AstraZeneca, we have DHL, and if you notice, we have NASA. NASA uses UiPath only for automation within the NASA. So this again a testimony of the kind of the application and the security of the product as well. So there's no other testimony required if NASA is using UiPath. We don't have to give any other example to tell that how secure our product is. And we also have about 40 plus government bodies across US and Europe who are already using. India also is adopting it in a huge way. We have large number of customers, as I've told. We have already mentioned a lot of Indian organizations as well. Along with that, we also have government slowly starting to adopt automation, so that the processes are becoming lean and clean, and then people are going to get the benefits in much better way. So these are the two last two have shown the kind of opportunity. These are the companies where you can actually build your career upon, and find your path, right path to build your career as an RPA developer, and so on, to build your career. Right. So that's it from my side. I hope this was useful for you. Try to give a gist about the technology, job market, and how you can learn, and then what are the things involved. And at the end, we've also seen the kind of companies which are actually hiring, and which actually hire for RPA developers, who are our customers and partners. And again, last thing I want you to remember is, to remember three things. UiPath Studio is to design, build your robot. UiPath robot, I mean, build your automation. UiPath robot is to run your automations. At the end, we have UiPath orchestrator to manage all your automations, right? So that's it from my side. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sushant sir, and all the HOD sir, and all the faculties of the AITM, Angadi Institute of Technology and Management, and everyone for this opportunity. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any questions, you can you post it on the chat, or very open to ask your questions. I'll be very happy to answer.
So, whether there will be any training sessions organized for the students for the hands-on session on the software?
Well, sir, the hands-on sessions, as I said, it's train the trainer program. We will help your faculties train. The faculty has to train your students.
Okay, sir. So, will there be any session for students, or that trainee people, faculty members will be there to take up?
The faculty from your department, we will train your faculty. I think two of them all have already
Yes,
attended
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
training.
Yes,
So
sir.
we will give access to them to all the resources so that they can make use of resources to teach students,
Okay,
which has
fine.
all the curriculum content and everything.
Okay, fine, sir.
Sir, let's look at the journey. Let's look at the number of students that take up the course, and if you once you see considerable number of projects coming out, we can look at somebody from UiPath or from the UiPath community across the globe. Somebody to can be assigned. Yeah, if you request, we can work on assigning a mentor for your students as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Students, if you have any queries, you can raise. The resource person is there to answer your questions.
To Basavadarshana sir, thank you for your valuable guidance to our students. Hope this will be definitely helpful for our students. And I thank all the faculties who ever joined for the today's session. And I thank all the participants for today's session. Thank you everyone for attending this session. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Baswadarshan sir. We'll get back to you as we will be sending the Google form to get the response for this particular subject. Once we have the response sheet, Sushant sir will be in touch with you for further communications.
Sure, sir. And thank
Thank,
you.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Stop. Mail ready.